The Golden State Warriors are up now. Look, you and I have talked about this on the show a ton, but for me, the big way that this works is if they're like all depth strategy that they have just leads to them being like a really good regular season team that wins like 50 games because Steph plays 70 games and they have all this spacing with like Buddy Hield replacing Klay Thompson and Pajemski coming up and like being incredible this year.
D'Anthony
And
Melton.
D'Anthony Melton providing like real defensive value on the perimeter, finding a way to make all of those kind of aspects work. I sent you what I think like their expectation probably is. And this is like expectation organizationally. I would bet you it's still to get to like the conference finals and like win titles.
I said true playoff factor. So I think that's kind of what I meant with that. And so I think that's what they expect. And to get there, Steph has to do Steph things. We talked about it on the last episode when we talked about his extension that, you know, he is getting older. When is the fall off going to happen? Is it going to happen? How quickly? All of that. I think Draymond has to return to form. And then I think one of two things happens. Either Kuminga really takes another step forward, or you make a consolidation trade for whoever, you know, becomes available. But I think it's in the aspect of what you said, where you win a lot of regular season games up to the deadline with your depth. And then you feel like you have the guys to go for it. And then at the deadline, you make that consolidation trade because Kuminga hasn't taken another step forward, or Pajemski isn't that, you know, whoever, you don't have that real second. That's what they don't have is who's the second offensive guy that can really score the basketball for this team. And that guy's not on the roster.
Probably needs to be Kuminga.
It does. Yeah.
But does Kuminga work with Draymond is always the question for them.
Yes. And so that's the thing. It's either Kuminga or you win with depth in the regular season, but you know that's not going to win you the playoff success you want. So then you make the consolidation trade to go get that second scorer, whoever it is, right? Like, I don't know who shakes loose at that point, but that's how it ends up working to me.
Yeah, I think that that's right. It's just when you have Steph, and Steph is still, as we saw in the Olympics, right, who he is, where he's this incredible basketball player who is capable of getting nuclear hot. And, you know, even last year, you know, Steph had an okay year by his standards, right? Like he wasn't blowing the doors off the place. He averaged 26, 4.5 and 5, shooting 45, 41, 92. Like that's just who we're dealing with Stephen Curry at this point. He's an unbelievable all-time, you know, top 15 basketball player. Look, I'm saying that conservatively. Like if you want to have Steph in the top 10, like whatever, it's fine. But that's the kind of player that he is. And when you have that kind of guy on your team still, and he is averaging 26, 5 and 5, even at 36 years old, you kind of have to go for it, I think. And that's what makes where they are positioned so difficult in a lot of ways. Let's talk real quick about Pajemski, Kuminga, and Moody, because that's probably where the internal growth comes from, right? We know who Buddy Hield is. We know who D'Anthony Melton is. We know who Kyle Anderson is, right? What are reasonable expectations for Kuminga, Moody, and Pajemski?
So I think with Pods, I would like to see some offensive growth in terms of, can he do a little bit more with his ball in his hand? Like, do we see that? Can he take on some of that load? I just want Moody to get a chance, Sam. Like, I think he's good. I would love to see that. And then I obviously have high expectations for Kuminga. I expect Kuminga to be the team's second leading scorer. So that would be, I don't know if that's reasonable or fair or not. May end up being completely wrong, but I expect him to be the second leading scorer on this team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like, does Wiggins try and take up more of that load, or do they go with, like, you know, Kuminga just getting a lot of it? Also, does Pods just start for Klay Thompson, right? If Pods is their starter and is playing, you know, 30 minutes a game, I think that like reasonable expectations are probably like 14, 5 and 5, right? like something like that. Like my questions with pods are always like, is he going to be able to defend on the ball and like be useful in that capacity? Offensively, he's going to be like productive. I think we've seen enough now to know that at 21 years old, if he's averaging like 14, 5 and 5 and being like relatively efficient, shooting, 45, 40 and, 80 or whatever he can shoot. I know he shot terrible from the foul line, but like, I don't think any of us expect that to continue. Yeah, like if he goes 14, 5 and 5 and Kuminga goes for 20 points a game, that's a big, those are sizable steps forward that would be really good for Golden State, I think, and would, I think make everybody happy there.